Hey guys, Maryam here. Welcome to my channel, or welcome back. In today's video, I am going to teach you how to do the very trendy Foxy Eyes makeup look. And I'm going to feature a ton of makeup tips and tricks for the entire face. So not just the eyes, but I'm going to show you a whole bunch of hacks, how to basically lift your overall appearance. I feel like this look is very popular now. You've seen it all over TikTok and all over the beauty YouTube sphere. You've seen it on Gigi and Bella Hadid, as well as Alexa Demi of Euphoria. I also think that this look is something that I've personally been doing forever because it's very fitting for my eye shape. But even if you don't have my eye shape, this look is so flattering, it will flatter any eye shape. If you have large eyes, Asian eyes, hooded eyes, downturned eyes, I'm gonna show you all the techniques that I've gathered up. I'm gonna teach you how to make it yours. And also, before I start this video, I wanna thank you guys for subscribing and for being so awesome, for commenting on my videos, for sharing my videos, for being so sweet and kind to me. I do this because of you. Thank you for requesting the videos that you do. I really appreciate it. It makes me feel very connected to you. And so before I go on, I just wanted to give you a quick shout out and thank you for all the love that you show me every day. So without further ado, let's get to this video. Foxy Eyes makeup look. Here we come. All right, so the first thing that I'm gonna do to get the foxy eye look is I'm going to do the foxy eyebrow. I feel like in order to get the whole lifted eye effect, everything should be in unison, everything should be in harmony. I'm gonna take my PIXI Brow Duo. I love this gel so much. I'm gonna brush out my wolfies. Today they're gonna be my foxes. I'm gonna brush them all the way up and kind of just lift the hairs towards the temple and towards my hairline. Next thing I'm gonna do is define the wolfies. I'm gonna use my Benefit Foolproof Brow Powder and my Doll 10 brush that I love. This is in the shade 5, kind of like a lighter brown and a cooler black brown. I'm gonna define all the sparse areas. I'm going to lower this part of the brow while lift the tail end of the brow. So I'm not necessarily arching the brow, I'm just lifting the ends so that it looks a little bit more this way. The reason why I'm starting with brows today is because it always kind of helps me map out what my eye look will end up looking like at the end. So I'm gonna go back to the brows in a little bit and define them some more if need be. But for now, at least I know their basic shape. I know that they're all kind of facing upwards. I'm ready to move on to the eyes. For my eyes today, I'm not gonna be using a primer. Instead, I'm gonna be using the concealer method with powder on top. And the reason why I'm doing that is because I wanna build up my shadow. Although the foxy eye makeup trend is very defined, it's also actually super blended and the lines are kind of blurry. So I wanna use minimal product, minimal pigment, and instead I just wanna build it up. Therefore, I don't want anything grippy. I don't want too much powder or too much product anywhere because I do not want harsh lines. I'm gonna use a little bit of my DERMABLEND powder to set that in place. Also gonna kind of use that to highlight underneath the tail end of my brow, lifting that. Next thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take a brown pencil liner. I'm gonna go for Charlotte Tilbury's Rockin' Kohl in Amber Moon. And I'm going to very gently add a line separating my outer crease. I actually don't really have an outer crease, but basically elongating my outer crease and darkening this portion. And kind of just lifting that out. Next, I'm gonna take Sigma's Dome Utility E34 brush and just very quickly smudge that out. Same thing on the other eye. Don't worry about precision. This is not about precision just yet. This is about changing your eye shape slightly and creating more of that lift. If you have an upturned eye like mine, meaning your outer corner is higher than your inner corner, then you're already at an advantage because all you have to do is keep emphasizing that lifted outer corner. But even if you don't, you can totally fake it. And even if you have downturned eyes, this technique will literally lift your whole entire face just because it's so dramatically different and it's very effective. All right, I don't like the blend on this eye. That was just like lazy, but it's fine. I'm actually glad I made the mistake because then in the next step, I'm gonna show you that this mistake doesn't really matter and you can easily and quickly fix that. For my eyeshadows today, I'm gonna be using this Hola Chola from Becky G X ColourPop. The super duper cute palette. All mattes, so lovely. I'm gonna take a little brush like this 04 from Wayne Goss. I'm gonna go for a nice neutral shade like this one here called Chola. And I'm gonna add that right on top of this outer crease. Just kind of blending it a little. And then I'm gonna use this very light stroke to extend the color outwards towards the temple. So basically, first you're concentrating the color and you're kind of just flicking off the remainder and going past the tail end of the brow. You know what's really bothering me right now? This little hair right here. I'm gonna snip that. All right, that's better. A little bit more of that Chola. I'm gonna add that here just to soften and continue flicking that out. Just to make sure you're going in the right direction, take your temple and pull it up. If that looks right to you, then you're doing great, sweetie. Just make sure that when you're pulling that line outwards, you're not pulling it towards your ear, because that's gonna be a completely different eye look. It's almost like an Egyptian Cleopatra eye, but this is more of that lifted FOXY eye. All right, going to this eye. Remember that mistake that I made? I'm not blending very well. Watch how little that's gonna matter at this point. Once I start taking that color, blending it and lifting it. Another way to be able to tell that you're going in the right direction is that this line should technically match your cheekbone line. So if this is where you contour, this line should be parallel to that. And again, don't use too much product, use just the remainder of that color and flick it. I actually learned this technique from my friend Serdar Kambarov, who is an incredible makeup artist. One time he did my makeup and he did this technique on my face. I swear to God, I look like I belonged on the red carpet. Matter of fact, I look like I belonged on something better than a red carpet. I have never looked better in my life. Pulling that, looking good. Next, I think I'm gonna go for, instead of Chola, for Cholita. This shade here, which is kind of like a light ochre. And basically just gonna erase some of that harshness here. I'm gonna use the same brush and just blend those two together so that it doesn't really look like I'm wearing too much shadow. Take the same shade and flick that. Like that. Okay, next up, I'm gonna take like a clean, flat brush that's somewhat on the large side, and I'm just going to clean up that line right underneath. I'm gonna go back and forth, almost as if this brush is an eraser. Love that. I'm actually gonna get my reference for this just because I'm combining all these different looks together and I'm trying to see which one is the most flattering. My phone crashed yet again. All right, so in the case of Demi, she has a very dark outer corner. And in the case of Gigi, she also has a dark outer corner that kind of connects to that. So I'm going to emulate a little bit of this situation mixed with a little bit of that situation. Trusty pencil, here we come. I'm gonna darken this outer corner, line the top lash line very thinly in the inner portion, and then connect that. I'm gonna take this brush from Laura Mercier. It's a dual-ended brush with a pointed tip on one side and then an angled little liner type brush on the other end. I take the pointed tip and just extend and blend this pencil line into that wing. Add just a smidge more and then continue connecting. Essentially what you have here is two separate but distinct lines of liner. One here and one here. Going back to the eyeshadow palette, I'm gonna pick up Chola and I'm gonna smoke out this liner right here at the edge. I'm not really so much worried about the outer corner, really concentrating on the inner portion of the liner. Next, I'm gonna pick up a little bit of this darker grayish brown called Sad Girl, and I'm gonna start adding that to that outer portion wing. Again, I'm lifting the color towards the temple, towards the hairline. Now I'm using this really precise pencil brush, so now I'm creating just a little bit more precision as opposed to a wash of color. And I'm gonna keep this brush handy and just continue erasing. Now, I don't want this to be a super harsh line, like as if I was wearing tape. Rather, I want this to be just a smoky clean line. Once I have all of my foundation, all of my concealer on, you'll see that I was just going for a shadowed look. Almost like, hey, is her eye really shaped like that? Where is that makeup, you know? So right now, although it's looking harsh, it won't be looking like that for long. I'm also just shading a little bit right here, make this whole area a little bit more blended. And see, because my eyes are pretty hooded at the outer corners, you can't really see the blank space of my lid. This almost looks like it's connected to my lash line, which it is, but it's also not. It's just a little trick. So if you have hooded eyes, this is something that you should remember for all eyeshadow application. All right, I think I'm pretty satisfied with my eyes at this point. I'm gonna take a flat little brush and this yellow shade called Little Smiley. I'm gonna start adding that to the blank space of my lid. Not really worried so much about overlapping the color. I just really want this lid to appear as bright as possible. That did it. Wow. And then I'm gonna take that wing gloss brush and just blur all of that together. This is very similar to the makeup that I normally do. I always tend to lift the outer corner all the way to the hairline and the temples. Only thing that's different is that this features a very bright lid, which to me seems very everyday, but using this technique, it actually makes it look very glamorous. Pretty good, pretty good, pretty good. Next thing I'm gonna do is the face. So first things first, I'm gonna use a little bit of my DERMABLEND powder and set the face before my primer. There's really no fallout outside of my lash fallout, so that's great. Setting that, I'm using the Lavender MAC Fix Plus Smashbox Smooth and Blur Primer. Alright, going back to that powder. Looking super smooth, honestly. Wow. For my foundation today, I'm gonna be using this Kogendo Aqua Foundation. This is a very, very beautiful foundation. Not the most full coverage. I don't really need full coverage right now, but it's a foundation that looks really, really, really great in person. This one's also kind of similar to the Pat McGrath foundation in the sense that it is very buildable and you can also easily sheer it out, which is precisely why I want to use this foundation today, because I want to build it up where I need it to be built up. Then I also want to sheer it out around the eye area. This shade 143 is also just a little bit tan on me, but I don't mind. I think because of how sheer it is, you can easily make it work and make it look believable and natural. Next up for the concealer. Now this is very, very important when creating this lifted Foxy eye makeup look. Where you place the concealer, and I'm using a brightening concealer today, is where you can manipulate your makeup to appear even more lifted and even more sculpted and even more chiseled. So I'm gonna do my usual concealing under the eye right here, also around the nose and the chin, in between the brows, this little imperfection that I have right here. But then also going to add some strokes of concealer right here and also right along that edge. I want all of these areas here to be lifted up and to appear as if they are basically pulling my face to the heavens. I'm gonna use a dampened beauty blender. Start on the areas that don't really matter or that don't really need lifting, such as in between the brows and the chin. I guess it's important to consider that when trying out this makeup trend, it's important to focus on the entire face, not just the eye area, because all these little tips and tricks will help the overall appearance of your eye makeup. Now this mouth lifting technique is something that I showed in my previous Pat McGrath video, where it was basically a full face of Pat McGrath. Check that video out if you haven't seen it already. And it's something that a couple of you have commented on, so I decided today's video was a good one to bring it back. Now keep in mind, again, this is not something that you should be doing for every day unless you really want to drastically alter your appearance, because this is almost one of those surgery without surgery type of techniques. I always say that we should always strive to work with what we got as opposed to change it all entirely and completely. But at the same token, it's so much fun to play around with makeup and to try different looks. And as long as you're not going too overboard, as long as you're not changing your appearance because you're not happy with it, then it's all fair game. Take my brush and pat that out just slightly. I'm sure you've seen this technique a lot on other makeup artist channels. Basically, lifting this outer corner and I'm coming very, very close to that line. I'm not necessarily overlapping the concealer. I am definitely sharpening and brightening this whole top cheekbone temple area. Again, if it's too much, just take a clean side of the beauty blender and kind of just pat that out. All right, setting the under eye with my Pat McGrath Skin Fetish Sublime Under Eye Brightening Powder in light. I'm going to set and brighten right here. And also I'm gonna take that all the way across. Something that I don't typically do, but in this case I will do. Also kind of like to use this powder to set around the nose. Kind of just helps negate some of those shadows around the nose. Also in between the brows. Just like to do like a little cross with the powder. I'm gonna take just a smidge of my Charlotte Tilbury powder, pat that across my forehead, also across my jawline, just to blend everything in so that it's not makeup-y looking. Still want this to be kind of fresh and attainable. Next up, my KEVYN Sculpting Powder in medium. You know this one, Motives brush. So now that we've added all the highlights, now I'm gonna add the shadows. I'm gonna add that right underneath the mouth, right here to slightly define my nose bridge, right here across the temple. Then I'm gonna take a bigger brush and I'm gonna connect this line to my forehead contour, you guys. I'm really trying to make this whole look work for my entire face and not just for the eyes. Basically, I'm trying to get you the most bang for your view. I think I am pretty good at this point. Now that my eyes are nicely lifted, I'm going to redefine my brows a little bit more. I'm gonna make them slightly darker and slightly punchier. Whereas before, I tried to stick to a very, very soft line. Now I'm going to etch them out, at least on the top, and I'm gonna make them a little bit more fitting for this eye look. Next up, for the lower lash line, I'm thinking something sultry, but not too smoky. I'm gonna take that line and I'm going to add some color to the very outer portion. I use this precise little brush, smudge that out. I'm gonna take whatever's remaining on the brush, cross the lash line and into the inner tear duct. I'm just doing that because I want to show you how you can lower this inner corner and lift the outer corner for an extra foxy eye look. And I would especially suggest it to those of you who have a droopier eye. If you've done too much, take that same clean brush and just erase. Next thing I'm gonna do is line my waterline. Sticking to brown because I think it's just a little bit more wearable. Once again, I'm gonna take that pencil from the outer portion and just smudge that out. Yes. For my liquid liner, I'm gonna use House Labs Lie Ner in Punk, which is black. I'm going to very lightly line the top lash line, wing it out super slightly, kind of like that. If you want to just smoke that out some more, you could do that while the liner is still drying. Same thing on the other side. I'm keeping this line so fine, I'm barely touching the skin. Like that. Again, I'm just smoking that out slightly and pulling it out. It's looking rather fire. All right, for my lashes, I'm gonna use PIXI's Lash Booster Mascara. I am gonna apply falsies. I'm just gonna add one light coat. All right, and for the lashes, a bunch of different lashes here. I'm looking for a flared style, so I'm gonna go for something a little bit more dramatic, just because I feel like this eye makeup can totally pull off the dramatic lash. I'm gonna go for LILLY Lashes Miami Flare Lashes. As you can see, they're much longer at the ends than they are at the inner corners. I'm going to pay very close attention to make sure that the lashes are as seamless as possible on the inner corner, and I'm going to straighten them out, and I'm going to apply the outer corner slightly above the lash line so that it continues with the whole lifting effect of the eye. And then I'm lifting that outer corner while the lash glue is drying so that I'm continuing with that same illusion. A little bit more difficult to apply the lashes like this, but if you can get the hang of it, it's a technique worth investigating. And while the lash glue is drying, just keep lifting those outer edges up while pressing the inner corners down. Ho, 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 ho. Wait for that glue to dry, and I'm just gonna re-emphasize this line of liner so that there's no mistakes. All right, now time for the rest of the face. I'm gonna take this sparkling liquid eyeshadow from the BALM Cosmetics. This one is in the shade Champagne. I'm gonna add a point of interest here, tiny dot of highlighter, and just blend that out with a brush. I'm gonna add that same dot right underneath my brow arch for more light and more lift. Next, I'm gonna take Fenty's cream blush in Rosé Latte. If you guys watched my video on that, you know I love this color. And the reason why I want to use this one today, because I'm sticking to this monochromatic brownie overall feel. Adding that just to the back of my cheekbone for a little subtle warmth. And I'm also kind of applying the blush in a way to lift and pull my face back. So I'm not applying it to the center of my cheek, but rather to the back. For the highlighter, I'm gonna use Benefit Cookie. Just a really pretty light peachy champagne color. I'm gonna add that very high across my cheekbone, starting at this outer corner of my eye and then flicking it back. For the lips today, I'm thinking I want something just a little bit avant-garde and 90s, kind of similar to this whole vibe here, but maybe not as harsh. So I got my Milani X Salt and Pepper Understatement Lip Liner in Shoop. I'm gonna line my lips kind of heavily, almost 90s style, and then I'm gonna use the Smashbox lipstick, Always On Cream to Matte in the shade Just Barely, and basically go over the entire lip shape. Gonna take a little bit more of that Shoop, just blend and darken. Perhaps a little too peachy, so give me a sec. Got this MAC lip gloss in Voyeurisme. I'm gonna add that right on top for that very necessary healthy gloss. I have one more trick up my sleeve that I'm so excited to share with you guys. This is something that I have been doing for years. I remember I first started doing this when I was living in France. I was in college, so this was in my early 20s. How I discovered this trick is, well, one day I went out, I drank too much, and I had a hangover the next day. My face looked a little droopy and and just a little underwhelmed and underslept. So I decided to pull my face up. You guys have probably already seen this technique on TikTok. What I'm gonna do, take the top of my hair and tie it up high. And I'm gonna take this section right by my ear. Not the very front, because you still want this to disguise what you're doing. A strand of this size will do. Basically, what you're gonna do is create a little ponytail in the back of your head, and you're gonna pull these two strands of hair towards each other. Grab another piece on the other side. I'm going to lift them. Not too tight, because too tight will definitely end up giving you a headache, so you're not gonna be able to wear that all day. Just tight enough, like about that tight is good. I'll take a little clear elastic. Just like that. You can release the rest of your hair, and boom, you'll get the lifted eye effect with your hair down. Kind of genius if you ask me. All right, you guys, so this is the final Foxy eye makeup look using all of my favorite tips, tricks, and techniques in one. Comment down below and let me know which of these tricks or tips or techniques was your favorite. My favorite is definitely probably the hair trick and also the concealer trick. I feel like brightening right here on the top of the cheekbone and along the temple just really lifts the whole entire look, not just the eye, but your entire face appearance. So I am really feeling this. I feel like I just need to go do a TikTok or something, because that is my current source of entertainment and socializing. All right, you guys, I will see you in my next video. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you love this one as much as I enjoyed putting it together for you. Check out some of my other videos right there. Click on them so you can see more tips, tricks, and techniques and more reviews. I love you guys. I'll see you in the next one.